When you were 7 years old, a summer lasted forever. You can probably still feel it if you try. Those endless afternoons where the sun wouldn't go down. A single week at summer camp that felt like a month. Christmas morning felt like it would never arrive. And then at some point, without anyone telling you it was happening, the years started to blur. You blinked and high school was over. You blinked again and your 20s were gone. And now you're sitting here wondering where the last 5 years went, with a vague sense that something broke in the way you experience time. Nothing broke. Your brain is working exactly as designed, and the math behind it is terrifying. In 1897, a French philosopher named Paul Janet proposed what he called Janet's law. The idea is simple. Your subjective experience of a period of time is proportional to the total time you've already lived. When you're 5 years old, 1 year is 20% of your entire existence. It's massive. It's a fifth of everything you've ever known. But when you're 50, that same year is just 2%. It's a rounding error. The year didn't get shorter, you didn't get busier, the ratio changed. And your brain judges duration by ratio, not by the clock. If you take this idea seriously and plot it mathematically, you get a logarithmic curve. And that curve has a disturbing implication. If you adjust for the fact that you don't remember your first few years of life, the subjective midpoint of your entire existence falls at around age 20. That means by the time you turn 20, you have already experienced half of your perceived life. Everything after that, your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, all of it combined will feel like the same amount of time as the first 20 years. Let me say that again. The last 60 years of your life will feel as long as the first 20. Now, Janet's law is elegant, but it doesn't fully explain the mechanism. Why does your brain process time this way? The answer lies in how memory works. Your brain doesn't record time like a stopwatch. It reconstructs the feeling of duration after the fact, based on how many distinct memories it stored during a given period. This is the key. When you look back on a week and it feels like it flew by, it's not because the hours were shorter, it's because your brain didn't bother recording most of it. You were on autopilot. You followed routines. You went to the same places, saw the same people, did the same tasks, and your brain, which evolved to be ruthlessly efficient, doesn't waste resources encoding experiences it has already cataloged. But when you're a child, almost everything is new. The first time you ride a bike, the first time you see the ocean, the first day at a new school, your brain floods these moments with attention and detail because it has no template for them. It's building its model of the world from scratch. And all of those densely packed, richly encoded memories create the sensation in retrospect that the period lasted a very long time. This is why scientists talk about the holiday paradox. When you're on vacation in a new city, the days seem to fly by in the moment. You're having fun, you're engaged. But when you get home and look back, that 5-day trip feels like 2 weeks. Your brain stored so many distinct memories that it reconstructs the period as longer than it actually was. Now compare that to a random week in January where you went to work, came home, watched something, and went to bed. 5 days that feel, in memory, like a single afternoon. Same amount of clock time. Radically different experience time. There's another layer to this, and it involves a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that your brain uses for reward, motivation, and novelty detection. When something new or unexpected happens, your dopamine system fires. It tells your brain to pay attention, to record this, to learn from it. And research has shown that dopamine directly affects how we perceive the passage of time. Higher dopamine activity makes time feel slower, more granular, more detailed. Lower dopamine makes time feel compressed. Here's the problem. Dopamine activity declines with age, not catastrophically, but measurably. The neurons in the parts of your brain responsible for novelty seeking, the ventral tegmental area and substantia nigra, become less active over time. You don't just lose interest in new things because you're tired or busy. Your brain is literally producing less of the chemical that makes new things feel exciting. And when new things stop feeling exciting, you stop seeking them. And when you stop seeking them, your brain encodes fewer distinct memories. And when fewer memories are encoded, time collapses. This also explains a phenomenon psychologists call the reminiscence bump. If you ask anyone over 40 to list their most vivid memories, a disproportionate number will come from between the ages of 15 and 25. Not because those were objectively the best years, but because that's the period of maximum novelty. First love, first job, first apartment, leaving home, finding your identity. The brain was in overdrive during those years, recording everything in high definition. Everything after that gets recorded in lower and lower resolution, unless you actively disrupt the pattern. So what does this all mean? Is there anything you can actually do about it? Or are you just stuck watching the clock accelerate until it stops? The research suggests you're not helpless. The same mechanism that causes time to speed up also tells you how to slow it down. Novelty. Not just any novelty, meaningful novelty. Experiences that force your brain off autopilot and make it pay attention again. Learning a new skill does this. Not passively watching a tutorial, but actually struggling with something your brain hasn't mapped yet. Traveling to unfamiliar places, meeting new people, changing your environment, breaking routines, even small ones, taking a different route to work, eating somewhere you've never been, having a conversation with someone outside your usual circle. Studies have shown that novel experiences expand your subjective sense of duration by roughly 25% compared to routine activities. That means simply by introducing regular variety into your weeks, you can make your life feel substantially longer in retrospect. There's a deeper philosophical point here too. We tend to think of a long life as a matter of how many years we get, but the research on time perception suggests that the length of your life, the way you actually experience it, has less to do with the number of years and more to do with what you put in them. Two people can both live to 80. One of them, the one who spent 50 years in the same routine, will feel like their life went by in a flash. The other, the one who kept seeking, kept learning, kept disrupting their own patterns, will feel like they lived for centuries. The clock doesn't care. It ticks at the same rate for everyone. But your brain is not a clock. It's a storyteller. And the story it tells about how long you've been alive depends entirely on how many chapters you gave it to work with. You can't stop time from speeding up. That's built into the math of being human. But you can give your brain more to hold on to. More first times. More unfamiliar places. More moments where you didn't know what was going to happen next. Because when you look back at the end, the length of your life won't be measured in years, it'll be measured in memories. And right now, today, you're either making them or you're not.